Hello, you beautiful souls. I'm back with episode number 40 of the Unleash Your Life podcast. It's Lane, and I love that you're here. I've been having this conversation in a variety of different ways lately with a whole bunch of different people. If you've ever experienced the feeling of having a hole in your heart, like there's something missing, it's a common experience for us humans, and there is a universal solution, which is what we're going to chat about today. All right, I'll meet you back here in about a minute. This is the Unleash Your Life podcast, where you're going to learn to rewild yourself. I'm your host, Lane Smith Brown, and I'm a best-selling author and rewilding guide. And over the last 20 years, I've been guiding women back to their truest selves. You see, you were born wild with all the wisdom you will ever need to navigate your life in a beautiful and powerful way. Then, just like everyone else on the planet, you got tamed as you fell under the power and influence of others who were also tamed. All that taming you got as a kid has you convinced you are less powerful than you really are. I call all of that unconscious programming power leaks. And on this show, you're going to discover yours, and then you're going to choose to plug them so you can get back to the wild, wise, and powerful being that you are. So grab a coffee, glass of wine, or a favorite friend, or all three, and let's talk about what living your wild self can mean for you. All right, welcome back to the show. And I forgot to mention this in the intro, but if you're new here, welcome. So glad you've taken the time to stop by. If you've been listening for a while, you know you make my heart sing, because you know how much I love that you're interested in doing the work of healing and growing. To all of you, can I ask your support in letting people know this little podcast exists? You can share it on social media or in a text to a friend that might love it. And if you haven't subscribed, how about sending a little love my way by doing just that? Oh, and to the newbies, be sure to go back to the very beginning of the podcast, because lots of these concepts are building on stuff we've been discussing in previous shows, and I don't want you to miss out or feel confused. All right, enough about that. Excuse me. So, we're on the topic of finding a way to fill the hole in your heart. I started thinking about this concept when I was probably in my 20s. I recognized that I was a very different person when I was with my family as I was when I was at work, and different again when I was out with my friends. They all apparently had a piece of me, some sense of who I was, but it was quite fragmented. I know now that it was because I didn't really know who I was. So how could I share that with anyone? I was still fragmented. So that's what people got. I doubt I'm alone here. I think our 20s are very much a place where we start integrating different aspects of ourselves. And if that development continues, we form this whole person. But there's a lot of us that have learned or are still learning to integrate that whole person much later in life. If that's you, you're not going to find any judgment here. Let's just embark on the journey, shall we? Let me begin with a pretty big question. Are you chasing all kinds of stuff while running from yourself? Savor that for a while, will you? Are you chasing something while running from yourself? Indulge me for a little bit. And let's just say that that's true for you. What could that look like? For me, the telltale signs is when I'm looking for the next thing that is going to solve whatever problem I am perceiving myself to have. So I'm dissatisfied at work. Something isn't working as I want it. And I think to myself, if I only had another job, that would change everything. I would be full. Or I'm in the middle of a relationship that isn't working for me, and I daydream about how there's another person out there that would be a more perfect fit. And if I met them and brought them into my life, this part of me would be full. Or it's about dealing with teenage children who are not doing what it is they should be doing as far as you're concerned. And you wish they would just listen to you instead of going off on these tangents. If they just did that one thing, both your life and their life would improve. Maybe even move to bliss. And you would feel full. Maybe you find your solution in going to the gym and having just one more glass of wine, or going on another shopping expedition. Anything to fill the void. Everything we do at the base level is because we have a desire to be in balance with our higher self. We want to feel that connection. But in those moments, we're not recognizing that it's our higher self we're trying to connect with. We're just trying to alleviate the pain of the disconnection in as few steps as we possibly can. Let me say it a different way. When we feel that there is something wrong in our life, let's say we're not satisfied with some aspect. It could be in how we're raising our kids. It could be in how your kids are responding to your guidance. It could be in your job or career. It could be with your coworkers. It could be how your body is responding or not responding to what you are doing for it, either positively or negatively. I want you to get an image in your mind of where there's some level of dissatisfaction. There is an empty space that you want filled up, but you're unclear on how to achieve that. Think about the energy that you've put into resolving that emptiness. Let's say what's missing is something in your primary relationship. You've tried the conversations, you've tried the ultimatums, you've tried wine, you've tried making plans and doing something on your own. You've lulled yourself into some level of passivity as you spend the evening dissolving into Netflix, or you fill that empty space with some level of distracting activity or busyness. There's very few people who find themselves in that situation where they don't think that if the other person would change, then they would be happier. You would be happier. And at a specific point in time, for a specific amount of time, that could be true. Let's say your partner keeps leaving dirty socks and underwear all over the place, and they never pick up after themselves, and one day they change that habit. Your level of frustration would be eliminated from your life on that one issue, and it would give you a little bit of peace. But then sometimes within minutes, surely within days, there's going to be another thing that bugs you even more than the socks and the underwear did. And chances are it's going to be as small an issue as the first one. Now, I'm not sitting here saying it's all your fault, or you shouldn't bother that somebody doesn't or you shouldn't be bothered that somebody isn't putting the empty milk carton in the recycling container, or doesn't pick up after themselves, or whatever it happens to be. Just want you to learn to focus on what it is you're using to get the feeling of imbalance, disconnection, frustration, disappointment. Do you get what I'm getting at? What is the feeling you're getting as you focus on that thing that is bugging you? What gets under your skin, aggravates you, frustrates you, distracts you? Can you feel something already? Did something come to your mind right now where you look at that situation and ask yourself, why does that bug me so much? Why do I get so mad about that thing? Why does this feel so disrespectful? Or why does this disappoint me? Just play with this for a while and think to yourself, what is the feeling that I'm feeling below the frustration or the emptiness or the anger? Okay, so let's take you back to that first part about not being your whole self in every aspect of your life. I spent so much of my life guarded, so afraid that if someone knew the real me, I would have even less friends than I had. Now, if you know my story, you know I was inadvertently conditioned to not trust anyone, so bonding didn't come very naturally to me. So even with the few friends I had, I was only a small version of me, and I was stuck between thinking if I shared all of me, I would either be too much or not enough, both of which would feel disastrous. Keeping myself fragmented gave me the feeling of control, but it was fear of not being what others expected me to be. Let me tell you a quick story about when I was first getting to know my mate, Callie. We were still living 1,000 miles away from each other, and so we spent a good deal of time on the phone together. She would ask questions, and I would give an answer, and she would reply, "But why?" I cannot tell you how maddening it was. It felt challenging, like she wasn't taking my answers at face value. I would twist and turn and get defensive, and she would say it again, "But why? Why do you feel that way? Why do you think that way? Why do you do it that way?" I hung up on several occasions. I didn't like the questions. I was still afraid to trust her. Hell, I was still unable to trust myself on what it meant to be truly me. She kept calling. She kept asking. I kept balking. Until one day I could see the essence of the question and her intention. She wanted to know me. All of me. Quirks and idiosyncrasies, the confident parts, the scared parts, the messy parts, the satisfied parts, the whole damn thing. I had come to believe so much about myself and the world, still based on either my old experiences or other people's ideas. I was reflecting to the world, most of the world, what I thought they needed me to be to find me acceptable, palatable, normal, safe, predictable. That's a trap most people are in. You're probably there too, at least in some area of your life. Charles Horton Cooley, an American sociologist at the end of the 20th century, said, "I am not who you think I am. I am not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am." I'm going to say that again because it is one of the most truest statements you will ever hear. So I'm going to go slow so you can take it all in. I am not who you think I am. I am not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Fuck. Is that how you're living your life? Imagine this. You've been in a relationship for 30 years and suddenly that relationship ends and you're starting all over again. You go on your first date. Who shows up? You in all your glory or a version of what you think your date will find acceptable? We don't just do this while dating. We can do this anywhere, while taking a class, joining a group of volunteers. The question often is, who do I need to be here to fit in, to get by, to be accepted? You know how you get past all that bullshit? You learn to ask, "But why?" questions. Why did I react that way? Why did I say that thing? Why did I shy away from that opportunity? Why did I think I didn't deserve that thing? Why am I using this as an excuse to hold myself back? Why am I not doing everything in my power to discover the shit that's in my subconscious mind so I can be free of it and learn to embrace the whole of what makes me, me? Strange, wonderful, unique, weird, and glorious me. What do you need to ask a why of? Why are you listening to this show? Why is this resonating with you? Why does this make me uncomfortable? Why am I still sitting on the edge, afraid to really start doing the work of getting rid of the old programming? When Callie was asking me that horrible question, but why? She genuinely wanted to know how I had gotten to the conclusion I had gotten to. And I was balking because I had no clue. And this is the work, sisters. The hole you think you have inside of yourself, that hole you think can only be filled by the next thing, the next person, the next experience, the next avoidance, the next opportunity to shove something down into the pit of your psyche. Yeah, that hole is the opening. What you are chasing is already within you. When Callie was asking me that but why question, I got really defensive because I thought she was going to judge my experiences as mistakes. And that's because I was judging my experiences as mistakes. I still had some negative energy around the choices I had made, like I had been stupid or something, or I had been naive about something. But the truth of the matter is, if you can grab this concept and hold on to it with all your might, it's going to save you a lot of grief. And that's this. Every experience you have ever had, every conclusion you have ever come to, every person you have been in a relationship with, every job that you have ever had, everything that you have experienced in your life up until this moment is all being used as a way to pitch yourself forward into the next iteration of yourself. As soon as you get caught in regret or anger or resentment or depression or self-judgment, all those nasty limiting ideas and emotions, you stop yourself from being able to recognize how that experience has given you just a little bit more information in which to navigate the road to your future. And you may have heard me say this before, but the future is the only thing that's real. Your past is entirely made up. I'm not diminishing your experiences. I'm not saying that didn't happen to you. What I'm saying is, because the subconscious mind works the way it does, most of what you are using as an excuse to not move forward is completely, entirely made up. This is a radical thought for a lot of people. Some call this radical responsibility. I'm choosing to call it freedom. Because when we get caught up in holding on to something that happened as the reason we can't move forward, we've given that experience way more power than it deserves. When we use other people's behaviors, like the individual who doesn't replace the toilet paper when the roll is empty, to knock us off center and distract us from ourselves, we give them or that situation way more power than they deserve. This is your egoic part of your subconscious mind wanting to keep you distracted from growth. There is so much opportunity for you to take yourself where you want to go. And it begins with asking yourself the but why questions, especially when we think about our mistakes, which I am going to call experiences moving forward. Doesn't that feel a whole lot less judgy? But why do I think that experience is a valid enough reason to keep myself stuck? But why do I think that experience is unredeemable? But why do I think that experience defines who I am? What if that experience is just data? It's just information. It was a point of time in my life. I did what I did with the information I had, or from the place that I was in my head or in my belief system. But that's now done. Not a thing I can do about it. I know more about myself now, having gone through that, than if I hadn't gone through that at all. That's fucking powerful. This is another reason why we look to something else to fill that hole in our own heart. We're still in judgment of ourselves. We're still thinking that we need someone else or something else to redeem us. Truth is, we don't need anything from the outside to redeem us. We are perfect just as we are. We came to the planet with purpose and intention. We chose where we landed, and we've chosen, whether deliberately or not, every experience we have ever had. Everything is meant to bring us back to ourselves. Can you tell I'm hell-bent on getting this through to all of us, everyone who's listening? It's because I have recently gotten really deep on this with myself. I've discovered places in myself where I was still judging myself so badly for no good reason. Well, the only reason I can think of is to make myself feel badly. And all of us are addicted to that every now and again. Yeah, you too. You see, that is another function of the egoic part of our subconscious mind. It wants us to keep ourselves small. It wants us to keep ourselves from moving forward into new territory. Because remember, its job is to keep us safe. And what the ego thinks is safe is us not changing, is us not evolving, is us not growing. Change is the most frightening part to that prehistoric part of us. It is our job to challenge the thoughts in our mind that are telling us we are less than whatever it is we want to be. And that requires an identity shift. If you're the one that, let's say, always fails, you're always going to fail, whatever that means to you. If you're the one who always has shitty relationships, you're going to continue being the one with the shitty relationships until you start questioning why it is that's happening to you. Maybe you're the one who never has any money in the bank and the bills are piling up. You bought into an identity that makes that true. I tell you, that was a really hard concept for me to get, and I'm still working on it in certain areas of my life. But what is happening to you right now is a direct result of what you have been thinking about yourself, how you have been evaluating yourself, how you have not been in your own corner on certain things. You bought into the lies. So what are you going to do about it? Have I challenged you to start asking the but why questions every chance you get? I hope so. Callie was asking me but why questions because she wanted to know me. She wanted to know all of me. She knew far sooner than I did that we were meant to come together for a very significant reason. It would take me months to catch on. But you know, the awesome part of her asking me the but why questions was that she inadvertently or intentionally forced me to get to know myself in a deeper and more profound way. I have learned, I am learning, and I continue to learn how to fill myself up. There is no hole in my life that will ever be filled up for any significant length of time by anything other than a deep and abiding love for myself. And women, I hope that that has elicited a profound desire to ask yourself some really good but why questions today. And if you've gotten yourself to a place where you know you want to talk to somebody one-on-one about this stuff, perhaps you've tried the books, you've tried the courses, and you're not getting any lasting impact, go to my website, click the link, and watch the first 2-minute video. I know for me, every single time I have made an investment in myself, big shifts happen. And you know why that is? Well, it's not poetry. It's because other people can always see your shit more clearly than you can. And if you want to get on with the show and really get at that stuff, you know what to do. Links are in the show notes. Well, I hope this show was meaningful to you. I sure love being here. I trust that this has ignited a wonderful, healthy conversation in your own mind. Be kind to yourself, be understanding, be encouraging, keep exploring, and keep asking the questions. Until next time, stay weird, stay curious, and keep popping your corks or plugging your power leaks, whichever one feels right to you. And remember, you can't wear a crown with your head down. Ta for now. Well, I hope this show rocked your world a little bit. If you want additional resources, check out the links in the show notes or at lanesmithbrown.com. Before you go, please subscribe to this podcast. It's how we get these tools into the world, and this world needs more wild women standing in their authentic power. Do that for me, will ya? Thank you.